welcome back to Cleverness. My name is Michelle and I'm here today to talk to you about one of my favorite authors and one of my favorite series. That is Garth Nix, the author of the Old Kingdom series. Now, the first book in that series is Sabriel, and it is one of my favorite books in the entire world. I absolutely love it so much. To be honest, before I read Sabriel, I didn't really read young adult literature at all, and I definitely didn't read fantasy. It's just neither one of those things were things that I considered reading exclusively before. I really didn't feel like I was a fantasy kind of person. And then, because of this really standout cover, I decided to pick up this book, and I was absolutely blown away by the beautiful writing, the world building, the characters, and definitely the relationships between the characters. I absolutely loved this book, and it made me really excited to read again, to try new genres, to explore young adult fiction, and definitely to read other fantasy books. And two of the reasons that I'm really excited right now is because on the 5th of June, the 3 books in the Old Kingdom trilogy are going to be available as ebooks for the first time, and I'm so excited for you guys to read these books. The second reason I'm really excited is that Clariel, the 4th book in the series, is going to be published by Hotkey Books later on in the year, and I so desperately want to read it. Honestly guys, this series is amazing. This first book in the series, Sabriel, follows a teenage girl, Sabriel. She's 18, I believe, which is slightly older than you'd normally expect in a young adult novel. She's been sent to a boarding school for her own protection, away from her father's dealings in the Old Kingdom. Now, her father is the Mage Aberson, and his job is very important. He's like a necromancer, and he's in charge of making sure the dead stay dead, and he goes missing, and he sends this sort of cryptic message to his daughter Sabriel, who then enters the Old Kingdom and learns all this stuff, and she goes on this journey towards finding her father. And I really loved the juxtaposition of like the sort of early 19th century setting that where she was in a boarding school, and the kind of medieval oldie worldy sort of setting in the Old Kingdom. Sabriel herself is an amazing character. I love her to bits. She's really strong and competent. She's kind of reluctant to this whole taking over her father's job sort of thing. That isn't something that she wants. She just wants to go in there, find her father, and have him carry on doing the job of the Aberson. And she comes into the Old Kingdom, and she comes across these people, and they're fantastic. Mogget is one of my favorite characters in any fiction that I've ever come across. He's this talking cat who's just so laid back, and he just doesn't seem that bothered about all of these really dangerous situations that Sabriel gets herself into. And Sabriel comes into the Old Kingdom, and everything is just different to what she's used to. And she's got to kind of adapt pretty quickly to get by. And honestly, it was a really fast-paced adventure-style book. It had amazing characters, beautifully written. And the thing about how it's written is that even at the time that I read this book, when I wasn't a fantasy fan at all, it didn't feel like heavy, or it felt like I was reading a contemporary book. It is a high fantasy book with a fantasy world and these magical creatures and different tools, and everything about it is very fantasy based, but it just doesn't feel like that as you're reading. It was really, really exciting and addictive, and I got through it incredibly quickly, and the wait for the next book in the series was an absolute torture for me. And as soon as Luriel came out, I had to pick it up and read it, and it was everything that I loved about Sabriel except slightly different, and the same with the third book in the series, Aberson. Everything about the events and the characters and the relationships and the things that happen are very emotional. I felt like everything impacted me emotionally, and I think that is just a tribute to Garth Nix's incredible writing style. I love this book, and I really, really hope that you pick up the ebooks when they're published. I recommend this book, this author, this series highly enough. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.